the song "Lesson to Be Learned" and the album title, did you guys? How did it come to where that was a song, but also the title of the album? How did that end up happening?
Because back then we thought you had to pick a song for your title. That's what we was kind of told when we was in TC studio. Like people usually take one of the songs and make it the title of the album, or the title of the album is really one of the songs. So that's how that came about. We was actually gonna call it. It was gonna be either be a lesson to be learned or a part of survival, or one of our songs that we got on there. We was gonna either use that one or that one. So we ended up going with a lesson to be learned. I kind of thought it was too long, so we was gonna switch it to a part of survival. But for some reason, when we got over there, we just ended. I just like just do a lesson to be learned. You know what I mean? Even with the RBL Posse, we was gonna put Ruthless by Law, but then I just like with our cover, we got everybody on there. You know, we saying it on the album. Let's just leave it as RBL Posse. You know what I mean? Because we was actually, because everybody's be like, what do RBL stand for? What do our, no matter how many times we say it, you know, that's why we tried to come with the self-titled album on the next one, like Ruthless by Law. And even still, people's like, what does RBL stand for? We like self-titled album, Ruthless by Law, but they just don't get it. You know, it'd be right in their face. But yeah, so, you know, it had a lot to, you know, do with that. We just had to pick a song. That's what we thought. We could have called it anything now that I know, but we thought we had to pick a song. So it was out of those two, a part of survival or a lesson to be learned. Even right now, I'm writing a book. I'm calling it part of survival because I didn't use it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, it's also funny too. You're saying all that because on "Lesson to Be Learned," the song, you break down what the name stands for. It's like
right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. RBL, Rufus Bob, and they still don't get it. That's
now,
true.
also on that song too, though, you guys are talking about like, police jacking and some of the police brutality stuff that sadly, even in 2021, we're still seeing is going on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, as you think about that, and I know you guys have talked about social commentary throughout your career, but even so early, what made it important for you to want to put that right in out the gate?
Well, it was just because of the experiences. I mean, we was going through that every day up in the projects. I mean, every day we got police, Redbeard, Max, all them just pulling up, going in our houses. I mean, our house probably got raided more times than anybody in the projects. You know, we done, I mean, constantly raided. So, you know, we had a problem with police, period, man. Just growing up, police was never some, you know, that you looked up to as like, oh yeah, they here to serve and protect us, look out for us. It always was a problem. They just pull up, no search and seizure, no nothing. They going in your car, going in your pockets, taking your drugs, taking your weed. Don't take you, I mean, take your drugs, take your money, and don't even take you to jail. They just keep it. So we was going through a lot of that. So, you know, you build up a whole bunch of animosity and hatred towards the police just on them being dirty cops. You know what I mean? And I done experienced that firsthand on the home pass. You know, just these cops we used to call Chicago and Kev, man, who they just pulled me over, got me out the car, started asking me about, man, you know, where they hide drugs at around here. I'm like, come on, man, I'm on the home pass right now. And they like, yeah, you ain't even got driver's license. You know, he's like, yeah, you know, we found some weed down the street, and we're about to get you sent to YA. And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? He said, you ain't gonna, if you don't tell me where they hiding they dope at, I'm finna show you what I'm finna do. And he ended up unlocking my trunk. And when he opened my trunk, he had the weed in his hand. He dropped it while he was opening the trunk, like, oh, what we got here? So it's stuff like that, man, where it's just like, come on. I'm like, come on, kid, don't do me like that, man. You know I'm on a home pass. He's like, man, you got to tell me where they hide the drugs at. Just so happened, my mom come walking down the street, because I guess people told him that Chris got stopped down the street. You know, Chris down the street, the police got him pulled over. So she come running down the street, and soon she come walking up. I'm like, Mom, they trying to plant dope on me. Like, man, shut up, don't say nothing. And he like, man, just tell me real quick. I'm like, man, I don't know, Kev, I don't know. I'm like, Mom, turn around panicking. And she come running up over there, and they like, oh, no, it ain't nothing, ma'am. You know, it ain't no thing. We just was checking to see what was going on. He ain't got driver's license. But I'm like, yeah, these motherfuckers didn't say nothing about that dope they tried to drop in my trunk. You know, but they end up letting me go. But it's stuff like that, man, where they try to shake you up, try to get you to tell, and they just do dirty stuff. It ain't like they coming through, seeing what's up with you, asking what's going on, seeing how your day is. You know, they don't jump out like that. You know what I mean? So if they was more friendly, really embedded in the neighborhood, coming through, being part of, the boys club, the gym, and really dealing with the youth, growing up, we probably respect them a little bit more, but all our experience has been bad, man. It's just been just traumatic, just dealing with them, man. Just from them planting drugs, raiding houses, beating up people, sending people just, I mean, even my boy who one of my best friends who just got out, man, he got framed for a murder he didn't even do. He wasn't even there. It was a car that supposed to look like his. And they sent him, and he did 14 years. They paid him for it, but he had to do 14 years for something that he didn't do just by being framed by these cops. So this is just something that I don't think gonna ever change, especially when it comes to us, man. It just won't stop, you know.
Yeah, that's as we are in 2021, man. That's one of the horrible things, and that's one of the things about hardcore rap, gangster rap, street reporting, whatever it is, that
Mm-hmm.
people were mad about it in the 80s and then into the 90s, but it's like everything that Schoolie D and Ice-T and Ice Cube and N.W.A and DJ Quick and MC8 and Conscious Most Wanted, you guys talked about, still happening. That's the thing.
Exactly.
That's the thing that's crazy. I did a book too, like the history of gangster rap, and I talk about that in there. It's like America said they were mad that the music was being made, but the music was being made because it was happening. It wasn't like
Exactly.
it wasn't these were creative stories that were like, oh man, imagine if it was like, no, this is happening to us.
Yeah. Like we just saying fuck the police just to say it. I mean, there's gotta be a reason why. I mean, y'all ain't never stopped to think like it's gotta be a reason why they hate the police. Let's just really try to just sit down and have some conversation and see what's really is going on. Why they hate the police so much.
Right.
It's because we ain't looking at them as serving and protecting in our neighborhood. They
Yeah.
coming through harassing and causing harm and breaking up families, man, and sending people off, dudes off where they creating single parent homes and shit, sending dudes off. That's all we got is the neighborhood. We already can't get hired for jobs and this and that. And it's like, man, all we got is the neighborhood to go outside and try to slang a bag of weed or something. And it's like y'all coming through giving dudes life over nothing. I mean, it ain't even violent crimes. It's just like petty shit that's legal now. You know what I mean? Even like the weed is like it's legal now. There's so many dudes I know that went down for weed, man, that done got their lives just interrupted and just tore up just from having a fucking weed charge, man. And now it's legal out here. And this dude's getting rich now, and they can't even really get in that game because there's so many loopholes. I mean, there's so many fucking hurdles and stuff you got to go through to even just get, you know, your permits and all that stuff, and being zoned and be in the right zones to even sell it. You can't be around the school. You can't do this. You can't be around that. It's like they creating it to still keep us out. You know what I mean? So it's just ugly, man. It's just why, we resent the whole system, man. It's just crazy.
Well, it is, and it's like we said. Sadly, it doesn't look like it's going to stop. But um, back into the music specifically, with the lesson to be learned, there are lots of lessons on there with G's by the 1, 2, 3s, where you're breaking down how be careful what you tell a girl or just people in general.
Mm-hmm.
They could use that against you for other things. So, like that, even if it's not a street thing, just a life thing, how and why did that end up being something that was so important to you? And what happened to make you really understand that?
As far as you saying with females,
Well, just in the song talking about, like, don't tell people who you're going to jack and all this different stuff. So it's like,
oh yeah, that just, that's the same thing with just, it just goes to just, just loose lip sink ships, whether it's, somebody gonna run and tell the police your business, you out there running your mouth and bragging about something. These young dudes don't get it nowadays. I mean, because it's all over. They Instagram, they just tell on themselves like it's crazy. It's just like, dude, you don't never tell a groupie bitch who you gonna jack. You don't never tell, because even that could be a setup. You're going to go jack somebody, and all of a sudden she don't radio to the dude or call the dude on the phone like, yeah, they talking about getting you, so they already prepared. Now you go over there and you done got yourself laid down and got killed, or you done ran your mouth to somebody who done told the police. So it's just like, that's just common sense. It's like, come on, man, keep your dirt to yourself if you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? That way, only you can tell on yourself. You know what I mean? It's best to not let a motherfucker know what's going on with you, especially if they ain't involved. If they ain't with it, they ain't with you, and they ain't your criming, they ain't your co-defendant. No, you gotta keep them out of your business. That's just the bottom line. That's just rules of the street. So that's all we used to just try to tell people, just like, man, you know, we used to try to preach that, man, like, watch your homies too, because everybody ain't your homie that's around you. That's one thing Mr. C always pushed, you know, because he came up there new. He was a dude that we took in later on with it. In my neighborhood, I grew up with these dudes and the so-called dudes that was supposed to have been his friends. That was, I wouldn't say his friends. They were supposed to be my friends. I didn't grow up with them, been knowing these dudes since we was like 2, 3 years old. It was like the dudes that's on the album cover with me. The other three dudes is dudes that I've been knowing since I was young. Mr. C didn't really know them. He only knew them about a year, probably into that cup. He probably met them a year prior to us taking that picture. He didn't really know them like that. Mr. C was new to our neighborhood, so he went through a lot. And you heard about a lot of that by the time we did the album, and by the time we got to the second album, Mr. C was saying, I always be like, damn, okay, he's saying some shit up in there, like, because he went through a bunch of, you know, stuff where girls was on him. The daughter dudes felt like he didn't really pay dues out there by going to jail and slinging dope and banging, you know, like we went through our gang banging phase and all that. He wasn't around for all that. He was really a good dude raised in the houses. He wasn't in the projects, and he came up there, got with me. I was a reputable dude up there. Dudes couldn't touch him, and he got all the notoriety and everything. He just became Mr. C like real fast, and all the females was on him. He was a handsome dude, and he started having money through the rap. So a lot that created a lot of jealousy, would end up leading to a lot of the stuff that took place that led to him getting killed. So it's you know, and he used to say that in his raps. Even to this day, a lot of stuff when I re-listen to the album, I just hear little certain things, sayings that he be saying. I be like, damn, he was letting motherfucker know back then. I didn't realize he was talking about our own homies in the neighborhood. I used to think he was just talking about in general, you know, watch out for certain dudes and this and that. But he was really talking about the dudes we was around. You know what I mean? He knew what was going on and felt it.
Yeah, that's next time I listen, I'm off to look out for that. That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Now on the production side, I wanted to get off the lyrics for a second. Was sort of like a psycho because that song, it's production wise, it's slower. It's not as bouncy as a lot of the rest of the album.
Mm-hmm.
So sonically, what made you want to explore that kind of different sound and feel on sort of like a psycho on the production side of things?
Like I said, that just went back to me just blending a bunch of songs I wanted to use. Like I loved it that Step Into the AM beat by Third Base. I just, man, I was in love with that beat when I first heard that. I was in the trance house, and that was like my favorite song. And when I seen that, you know, MC searching him, and I'm like, oh damn, this is a white dude. I'm like, he's spitting, and I liked it. They swag, man. They was just Third Base was just so dope to me. So I knew, soon as I started doing music, that was one of the first beats I took. You know what I mean? And I just was like, let me mix it with Ohio players and everything. It was just something. It wasn't even really like planned or like, oh, I'm trying to go to the left with this or I'm trying to do something different. It was just something that just came off a feel. I just liked it. I just liked it, the Third Base. And I just like, let me blend all this stuff up. And the beat just sounded so crazy. I was just like, damn, this beat sounded hella crazy. And that's where the psycho part just came from. It's just like, man, I'm sort of like a psycho. A nigga just might. I was just like, oh, I'm about to go crazy on this track right here, just on some old crazy stuff. And Mr. C wasn't gonna be on it. That's why even on that song, I do like 2 verses, and then Mr. C come in at the end. That was when I just was going off on it, and he was just like, "Nah, I'll let you do that by yourself." He didn't really care for it until he heard my lyrics. Then he was like, "Oh man, I got to get on that." You know, and he ended up writing the lane. He was good for that. He did that on Bluebird too. He didn't really care for Bluebird. And that's like probably our second biggest track right now behind Bammerweed. Is probably up there with it. You leave it up to some people like down in Southern California, man. They love it.
Yeah, that's a big
Man, they love it. That's like it's up there right now. You know what I mean? With Bammerweed. It's one of those ones that's like a hit right behind it. You know what I mean? So yeah, he didn't care about it though. He didn't care about the hook. He like Bluebird. What is you talking about? I'm like, dude, that's be the little high go seek when we was small. We see the Bluebird on my shoulder. He was like, he didn't get it really. You know what I mean? But then I say I'm gonna switch it up and talk about the boys in blue. It's gonna be about the police. It's gonna be like another little fuck the police type track. But then when I started rapping on it, I really wasn't talking about the police. I was just like, I'm just gonna talk about anything that's a problem, your baby mama, whatever. I'm just gonna be all over the place just talking shit. And he liked it. He was just like, oh shit. As soon as I started doing my verse, when he got to my second verse, I seen him sitting there on the couch with his pen and pad. I'm like, okay, he want to get on it now. But yeah, sort of like a cycle to go back to your question. Now, it was just one of them things that it would just feel, you know, it really, I didn't have no plans where I was just trying to do something different than the rest of the album. It was just I just went off a feel, you know, that was it.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with N.W.A.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
There's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.